Have you ever felt like someone in your life was slowly, quietly, turning people against you? Not dramatically, not obviously, not in a way you could point to and explain. Just a shift, a coolness from a friend you cannot account for, a family member who seems to have formed an opinion about you that does not match anything you have actually done, a feeling that conversations are happening somewhere you cannot see, and that you are the subject of all of them. If you have felt this, you are not imagining it. What you have experienced, what has been done to you, has a name. It is called triangulation. And today we are going to decode exactly what it is, how a covert narcissist uses it, and most importantly, why it has been so difficult to see until now. Before we get into this, if you are watching because something in your relationship has felt confusing, or because you are trying to name something you could never quite explain, this channel is built exactly for that. Every video here decodes one specific behavior, one specific tactic, one specific pattern, so that you can stop questioning yourself and start seeing clearly. If that is what you need, subscribe now. That way, every time a new decode drops, it comes straight to you. Now, let us get into this. Triangulation is not an argument. It is not a confrontation. It is not even a conversation, at least, not one you are invited to. It is the deliberate introduction of a third person into a dynamic that was supposed to be between two. A covert narcissist uses triangulation as a tool of control. They place themselves at the top of a triangle, and they manage the two sides below them, one relationship on the left, one relationship on the right, carefully, strategically, and always in a way that keeps both sides looking to them for information, for validation, for the story of what is really happening. You are one side of that triangle, and you do not even know the triangle exists. Here is how it begins. The covert narcissist identifies someone in your life who matters to you. A close friend, a sibling, a parent, a colleague you trust, someone whose opinion of you means something. They build a relationship with that person. At first, it looks completely natural. They are being warm, they are being charming, they are being interested. And perhaps you even feel good about it. Look how well everyone gets along. But behind the surface of that warmth, information is being exchanged. The narcissist begins to share things, carefully selected things, about you. Not lies necessarily. Not always. Sometimes half-truths. Sometimes a real event, reframed just slightly to cast you in a more difficult light. Sometimes an exaggerated frustration. Sometimes a concern, expressed quietly, in a tone of deep worry, that is actually a seed being planted. I do not know. She has been so difficult lately. I worry about him, to be honest. He can be very reactive. I do not want to say too much, but just be careful with her. These sentences seem like they come from a place of concern. But they are not concern. They are architecture. They are the careful construction of a version of you, a version that the narcissist controls, in the mind of someone you trust. This is the question that matters most. Because triangulation does not announce itself. It does not come with evidence you can hold, or a moment you can clearly identify, or an accusation you can directly respond to. What you feel instead is drift. A friend who used to call regularly has become quieter. When you speak to them, something feels slightly different, a guardedness you cannot explain. They are still friendly, but they are not quite as open. Something has shifted, and you cannot identify the cause, so naturally, you begin to question yourself. Did I say something? Did I do something? Have I changed without realizing it? This is by design. The covert narcissist has no interest in a direct confrontation. Direct confrontation creates witnesses, creates records, creates a moment that can be examined and questioned. Triangulation operates in the space between conversations, in private exchanges, in well-placed doubts, in whispered observations that cannot be traced back to their source. It is manipulation that leaves no fingerprints. There is a second form of triangulation that operates differently, and it targets you directly. This one is not about isolating you from others. This one is about keeping you destabilized, uncertain, and competing for attention that should never require competition. A covert narcissist using this strand will introduce a third person into the emotional space between you and them. Not as a real threat, not always, but as a presence. A name dropped casually, a comparison made with apparent innocence. Someone else who appreciates them more, who understands them better, who is simply less complicated than you are. My colleague never makes an issue out of things like this. She actually thinks it is quite charming, but that is just her perspective. I am not comparing, I am just saying, Other people do not seem to find it a problem. You are not supposed to react to these statements. Reacting confirms that you are, as implied, too sensitive, too insecure, too much. But not reacting means absorbing them quietly, letting them settle into a growing sense of inadequacy that you carry alone. Either way, the narcissist benefits. Your anxiety keeps you focused on them. Your insecurity keeps you working to be enough. Your attention never leaves them, because you are always, in some corner of your mind, slightly afraid that it might. There is a term used in psychology for the people who, without knowing it, become instruments of the narcissist's influence. Flying monkeys. These are not bad people. In most cases, they're good people. People who trust the narcissist, people who have received a partial story, people who genuinely believe they are responding to something real. A flying monkey might approach you with concern. I heard you have been struggling. Are you okay? A concern that originated not from their own observation, but from something the narcissist said. A flying monkey might become subtly cooler toward you, pulling back slightly, just enough to make you feel it, because something they have been told has planted a seed of doubt. A flying monkey might relay a message that was never asked for, reinforce a narrative that was built without your knowledge, or simply treat you slightly differently in a way that feels inexplicable and deeply unsettling. They are not acting with malice. They are acting on information. False information. Curated information. Information designed to produce exactly the response the narcissist required. Here is what naming triangulation actually gives you. The moment you recognize that a triangle exists, that you have been one corner of a structure you did not design and did not consent to, everything shifts. You stop looking inward for faults that are not there. You stop re-examining your behavior as though the answer to the drift in your relationships must somehow lie within you. You start looking at the structure itself. Who is at the apex? Who's being spoken to, and about what, and when? You do not need to confront anyone immediately. You do not need to gather evidence or make accusations. The most powerful first step is simply to see it. Because a narcissist's power in triangulation depends entirely on your blindness to the triangle itself. The moment you can see the triangle, name its corners, trace its lines, you have removed something they were counting on. Your confusion. Once you see the triangle, you move differently inside it. You become more careful about what information you share with the person at the apex. You do not make a dramatic announcement of this. You simply share less. Give them fewer seeds to plant. Remove access to the raw material of their manipulation. You reach out directly to the people on the other corners of the triangle. Not to explain, not to convince, not to defend yourself, simply to maintain real and direct relationships that the narcissist cannot mediate. Relationships they cannot stand between. And you remind yourself, in the moments when the self-doubt rises, as it will, that the story being told about you is not the truth. It is a version. A carefully edited version, constructed by someone who needed a version of you that served them. You're not that version. You never were. You came into this video feeling a drift you could not explain. Relationships that had shifted without a clear reason. A creeping sense that something was being said about you that you could not find, could not address, could not defend against. Now you know what it was. Triangulation is not a misunderstanding. It is not a coincidence. It is a deliberate system, designed to isolate you, destabilize you, and keep you exactly where a covert narcissist needs you, uncertain enough to stay, confused enough to comply. But you have seen it now, and once you have seen the triangle, you cannot unsee it. In the next video, we go even deeper. We look at gaslighting, the tactic that makes you question not just your relationships, but your own memory, your own perception, your own sense of reality. If triangulation made you feel alone among others, gaslighting makes you feel alone inside your own mind. I have gone into full detail on exactly how this works in that video. Make sure you watch it. And if this decode helped you today, if it names something you have been carrying for longer than it should have taken, subscribe. Every video on this channel is built to give you back your clarity, one pattern at a time. I will see you in the next one.